I'm just gonna hit record here, guys. Awesome. So yeah, typically, guys, and I know we all know this. This is the busy time, right? Spring historically in most markets is our Christmas, right? It's where the 70-80% of our income can be made, and it's the actions that we do now and we're doing a month ago that are ultimately going to lead to a busy second quarter. April 1st marks the beginning of the first quarter. The second quarter. What I want to go through today is just I spent some time reflecting over the weekend. I'm kind of going through some principles that I run myself by, some of my core values, as well as some of the lessons that I've learned, not just as like a realtor, but as like a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and some of the mistakes I've made, some of the highs, the lows, all that fun stuff. And I want to share that and just kind of go through my principles on the way that I operate. And then I'll kind of go through like our goal setting and our intent setting. Then we'll kind of go into prospecting. Okay. So for today, the big thing that I want to go through, yeah, like I said, is just kind of the the mindset and principles. And like I mentioned, this is really just an accumulation of everything that I've learned across life, across business, through working with a ton of different real estate agents and other entrepreneurs. And without a healthy and positive mindset, like nothing else matters, right? Like you can't have a sports car operate without without a computer system and a healthy engine. And it's the same thing, right? Like when your body and when your mind are in poor health, this is what ultimately leads to what I like to call the downwards death spiral, right? So yeah, just in terms of like whether you're doing real estate, you're a seasoned veteran, you're new in business or entrepreneurship, it's like the whole journey of business ownership, especially more in like a commission only sales type of role. It is the most challenging, but it's the most rewarding journey of self-development, right? It takes a lot of time, it takes mental fortitude, it takes grit. And although there's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, right? Without having that right mindset, without having those core, like the core principles and core foundation, it is so easy to fall off when things do inevitably get tough. Um, and what's really important to understand is that no matter what, when you start any endeavor, and this is in business, this is a professional career, this is a new hobby, you're going into it with a bunch of debt, right? So you can either be in ignorance debt, financial debt, or managerial debt. So essentially what ignorance debt is that you just don't have the knowledge or skills to operate at the highest functionality of what like an industry leader would work towards, right? So we kind of work through that through our education. We work through that through through our skills and kind of fumbling forward, failing forward. And a big way that we can kind of expedite that is also getting into like what I like to call financial debt, right? And that's essentially where you like pay a mentor or you join a team to kind of help accelerate that ignorance and pay that ignorance debt off as soon as possible, right? Because for me, I'm a big advocate of paying for other people's mistakes, right? Like I've made my fair share of mistakes in business and in real estate, right? Like I've lost out on deals because of like an email I didn't send, or communication that didn't happen, or just a mistake that I made just because I didn't know, right? And a lot of the times what you have to analyze, and this becomes more and more frequent as we grow and develop, is what's worth more to you, right? Is it the time and the opportunity cost of potentially losing out on transactions, or is it the finances that you have in your bank account, right? And the quickest way that we can accelerate in life is for paying for other people's mistakes. And that's kind of where the financial debt kind of comes into it. And that's where, a lot of people, they'll join like a team, or they'll join a mentor where they're giving, 10, 15, 30, 50% of their commissions in order to get that training and have that someone that they can go to essentially ask questions so they don't make the mistakes. And although the mistakes still do end up happening, the quicker we can get over that hurdle of not making the mistakes in the future, that's what's going to allow us to not lose out on as many opportunities because of something that we didn't know. And essentially we're eliminating that ignorance debt, right? Then we have managerial debt, and that's a whole other bag of worms. So when you start growing as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you're going like your time, like the tasks that you inevitably have to do, your time becomes more valuable than what it is required to do those tasks, right? And that's where we start kind of getting into recruitment of different salaried employees and different agents and commission only sales reps, and that like the fumbling of making a bad hire or investing in a bad person, or just learning what it takes to be a good manager and a good leader. That is a whole other learning curve that we have to come through, and you get to in more of the advanced pieces of business. But ultimately, getting over those hurdles and making those mistakes early on, or having a mentor that you can go into about hiring properly and managing properly, those mistakes and the opportunity cost at like for yourself at one level, that gets multiplied the more people that you continue to bring on. So if if you have a rock solid structure, you have rock solid standards and SOPs, right, and systems, that's going to ultimately amplify your opportunities and ultimately the revenue that you're going to make. But if you don't, and nothing's documented, nothing's systematized, and you make bad hires, that gets exasperated through the people that you employ as well, right? So that's essentially what managerial debt, and it's the same as ignorance debt, but it just gets amplified the more people that you get involved, right? And there's there's nothing more complex than bringing on other people. Like I always say it, like for payroll and for salaried employees, they can be the best thing in the world. Sometimes you can tell on the other side that you can sometimes, like, they can be the biggest crux in your business, right? So having someone to consult, and having to get like offload that managerial debt, that's going to pay dividends as you continue to move forward. Okay. Any questions here, Neil?
Sorry, I had you muted. No, yeah, it's
No
a good.
question.
Savania? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay. So now before we kind of dive into like the actual like tactical principles and stuff, so there's something I like to go by, which is the 5 buckets, right? And then the 5 buckets are going to ultimately be what determine your overall potential. And similar to like the debts that you incur, no matter what endeavor we take on, right? Like we have to fill them in the right order, right? And the fullness of these buckets will ultimately determine the sum of like our professional or personal potential. And like if you look at all of the highest caliber people, like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, right? They've spent years and decades filling these 5 buckets. And that the most successful people have these buckets all full, but they do them in the right order, right? So the first bucket is your knowledge and what you know. Okay. Your second bucket is your skills and what you can do with that applied knowledge. Okay. Your third bucket is your network and who you know. And usually when you start building your knowledge and your skills, you start to develop as a person, and you start getting into rooms, and you start having conversations with people that are of higher caliber, and your network grows and expands, right? You have your resources, which is what you have, whether it's your money or your assets, your employees, right? And then your reputation, which is your brand and what people think of you, and that is your most important asset, right? Your brand, your personal brand, and what others think of you, and the reputation that you maintain, that is your most valuable asset. And once that's tarnished, it's pretty hard to get that back, right? So I was reading a book called The Diary of a CEO by Steen Bartlett, and he explains that one of his employees in his first company was he was a junior employee, pretty inexperienced. He got offered a job in New York, essentially as a CEO of a marketing agency. And this was a new marketing agency, and he explains that in hearing that he got this offer, he was pretty shocked, right? He's like, why would a company give this inexperienced junior employee, such a prominent role, right? And within 18 months, the company, like the guy got into the role, he wasn't experienced, he didn't, have the tools and the skills and the knowledge to ultimately drive the business forward. And although he took a higher paying role, right, which is where essentially would be your resources, he didn't have the foundation, he didn't have the skills, he didn't have the knowledge to ultimately fill that role, right? So that foundation wasn't set, and ultimately everything collapsed. And he was looking for a job, a more junior entry level job, 18 months later, right? So it's really, really important that we fill our buckets in the right order. And I see it happen with agents all the time, with entrepreneurs, with business owners all the time, is they essentially want to skip the knowledge and the skill building phases and not do the work in order to kind of get the result. And although like you can do this, there are ways to do it, right? Like when things do fall apart and what we call like a professional earthquake, things will fall apart because you just don't have that foundation, that knowledge base and that skill base. And you don't have that, like you just don't have that foundation to build off of when things do inevitably. And in all business, like we do have our up cycles, we do have our down cycles, but we don't have that foundation to ultimately build ourselves back up, right? Or even maintain. We don't have that higher foundation, right? So the applied knowledge, your skill, and the more that you apply your knowledge, the more value that you'll ultimately create and attract in this world, right? And it'll be repaid in a growing network and abundant resources and with a robust reputation, right? And there's a good adage that says that those that hold gold are rich for a moment, but those that hold knowledge and skills will be rich for a lifetime. And true prosperity is what you know and what you can do. Okay. So no matter what life throws at you, like whether you're getting divorced, whether it's a lawsuit, whether your whole business crashes, or like whatever happens, you get lost, you let go from a job, the market goes up, down, sideways, whatever happens, everything can get taken away from you, your reputation, your resources, and your network. But the only thing that'll never get taken away is your knowledge and skills, right? Unless you like get knocked on the head and you forget everything, then that's obviously a different scenario. But again, guys, it's super, super critical that we use our skills and our knowledge, and we continuously build them in order to set that foundation. Because even though like we may take our steps back in life, we're always taking a step forward and increasing that bottom line, right? So when we see those down cycles in business and life, we're starting at a higher foundation than if we were. Okay. So just have the patience to delay your gratification, invest in your knowledge and skills, and build a strong foundation. All right. Um, Another key thing, and I made a piece of content around this a couple of weeks ago, and it's just really around the premise of having a healthy body, a healthy mind, and a healthy business, right? For me, I've found that having a super strong morning routine does set the tone for the rest of the day. Anytime in like where I've had my down cycles, and I'm just in a bad space mentally or physically, I always analyze like, okay, like what was I doing before and what am I not doing now that caused me to get into the situation, right? And usually it starts with me getting too busy, operating the business or not having systems in place. I deprioritize my exercise and me eating properly, right? And it just like all of that starts to happen. You start to get anxious, you start to not feel as good and lethargic, you wake up a little bit later. And again, it's what I call that downwards death spiral, right? Right. And then the first thing that I always do to get myself out of it, right, is to, essentially start exercising and start getting on that positive mindset again, right? And the way that I see it, okay, the quality of my life is solely determined by the quality of my decisions, and the quality of my decisions is determined by my energy, and my energy is determined by the priorities that I set, right? the quality of my sleep and the food that I eat, right? It's just so, and I know it sounds so simple, but it is so important, especially when you want to operate at a high capacity, which is what a lot of commission only real estate sales but it takes a lot of mental energy, especially like the move the needle activities like prospecting, like doing all the things that we know that need to move the business forward. But we have to be in a good space mentally and physically in order to be there. Okay. And like you're one or two decisions away from having everything that you ever wanted in life. And you are also one or two decisions from completely changing your life and destroying it. Right. Like that's why, like, really good people sometimes that made one bad decision, and then they're in a place where they're irreversibly able to get out of, right? So for me, like I'm a big advocate of truly prioritizing sleep and waking up on time, right? The quality of your sleep is going to be one of the most important aspects of our mental and our physical health, right? And it's one of the biggest determinants of our success and longevity. Like I can't explain. I used to drink and party a lot, right? In my late teens and early 20s, right? But as I grew as a person, as my career grew, as my business grew, it just stopped becoming a priority, right? Like I like the hangovers were lasting longer. Like I just felt sluggish. I wouldn't be as productive. And it sucked because I ended up losing a lot of friends in the process. And my circle shrunk from like 40 people that I was always around to like maybe two people that I still like truly spend time with. And it's just because that like we all grow, like as we grow and our priorities change, like it's just common to lose friends, right? But like it was really a key point in my life, because again, I was trying to take this massive step, and like we'll kind of go into environment here in a second, but the like in doing things where you're putting yourself in a like a negative situation, a negative environment, or you're doing things to your body that you probably shouldn't be doing. There are like the repercussions are not going to be good. Your energy is going to be low, and because your energy is low, you're going to make bad decisions. And that can over time can really start compounding, right? So now for me, I only drink a couple times every single year. I go to bed at 8 p.m. I wake up around 4:30. And although like sometimes I might sleep in a little bit, usually later in the week where my body's tired from working out so much. I'm a big believer of like waking up when your alarm is set, right? Because it truly sets like the tone for the day, right? And the direction that you're going to continue to move throughout the day, right? So set the alarm that you want to wake up to. Don't eat 2 to 3 hours prior to bed. Like if the number one way to feel groggy and feel gross in the morning and push off the alarm that you're waking up to is to eat unhealthy and to eat like right before bed, right? And then just ultimately get up when the alarm sounds. Okay. Now for exercise, right? Like I mentioned, like when I've been at rock bottom, the first thing I always do is analyze, okay, like, okay, what actions do I need to start taking to kind of get myself out of this? And exercise is always the first thing that I always start doing, right? It just gets me in a positive mindset. Like when you start the day off, with a quick win, I've gotten myself out of these dark places, and yeah, it's really like taking that first step into exercise, getting my physical state back to where it needs to be. That's kind of what's gotten me back on track. And like I cannot emphasize, guys, like starting the day with like a really good sweat. And I'm talking like, like not dripping sweat, but like having your heart rate up to 150, 160, 170 for an extended period of time. Having your body wake up, finishing it off with like a hot steam and a cold shower. Like you have a huge endorphin rush, and it literally feels like you can take over the world, and it's so good for your psyche. And it also, like when we're dealing and we're in such a human related interaction relationship driven business, it's so good because it allows us to feel more engaged in conversations. It allows us to serve at a higher capacity and really just have a better positive mind and attitude and to ultimately make better decisions, right? So finding an excuse not to work out is really a habit of the undisciplined and the unsuccessful, and it will spill into the rest of your business and your life, right? There's a reason why the majority of successful people are in good shape. It's because they have the discipline to take care of themselves first so that they can serve other people. And taking care of themselves includes their mental and their physical well-being. Okay. Now, for me, I personally like to get my workout in before the day starts. Like I said, I'm usually up by 4:30 in the gym by 5. And I can start the day with a quick win, and I get that huge endorphin rush. And as the day kind of progresses, things pop up. We have to kind of shift our calendar a little bit. So it also eliminates the excuse of me not wanting to do it later on in the day because of a conflict or an issue or whatever came up that caused me to miss it. Okay. Affirmations and like mindset are really, really key too as well, guys. I'm a huge advocate of manifestation, and you really want to put out into the world what you get in, or sorry, you get out of the world what you put into it. And if you're in a positive mindset because of you taking care of yourself, and you believe in yourself, the world will bring you great things, right? But like if you have that negative self-talk, it's like your actions are going to reflect that, and it's going to come across in the way that you communicate, and that's what starts again that negative downward spiral. But if you're affirming yourself that you're doing good things, that you are capable of your goals and achieving that your actions are going to reflect that, and the world just has a habit of reciprocating. Okay. But for me, like I at least take the time to just journal for 5 to 10 minutes a day, right? And just really express my thoughts, like what my priorities and intentions are for the day, and ultimately just share gratitude, right? It sounds super cheesy, but it really does help establish the tone for the rest of the day. And again, coming from that positive mindset, it truly makes a difference with the way that you interact with other people's, and ultimately what ends up getting reciprocated. And then lastly here, guys, as it pertains to kind of like our mindset and our physical health, education is a big thing as well. Like I cannot emphasize enough, like always being in the mindset of wanting to learn and be engaged in different topics and expand the mind a little bit. While I'm making breakfast, while I'm driving in my car, while I'm working out, I'll always have some sort of like educational video or a podcast or audiobook that's playing in the background. And this can be regarding anything, right? It can be like some regarding like fitness, a mindset, real estate, business, entrepreneurship, or anything else that I'm like actively wanting to learn more about. I've just found that when I'm always like in that mindset and listening to positive growth content, it just reinforces everything else that I'm doing, right? Now, like I've came from a household where my parents were always like listening to the news, they're always complaining, and it's just such a like it can be an exhausting feeling. That's why like environment is everything as well. But if you surround yourself with positive people, positive intentions, and then you're filling the mind with positive reinforcement, right? It just does. It's going to help you move forward so much quicker and give you again that mental fortitude when things do get a little bit tougher. Whereas like if you're always listening to like the news and like people complaining or like all that negative stuff that drags you down, it can have such a negative mindset on your such a negative effect on your mindset and headspace. Okay. So I'll stop here for a second. Neil, Sylvania, are you guys still with me? And do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yep, still here. No, all great actions, that's for sure. I am terrible for watching the news though. And I watch it in the morning, I watch it at lunch, and I watch it before I go to bed. So that's
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
you're right,
what I would
it's full of
challenge
negative stuff.
for you, Neil, I would challenge you and maybe try switching that with like with audiobooks or with like personal development, personal growth podcasts, right? It'll help kind of reinforce more of the what you're doing and the actions that you're taking.
Yeah, probably not a bad thing, that's for sure. So I've never been a big podcaster. Like I don't think I've ever even listened to one. So it's just
Yeah.
never been a thing I've done. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Oh, perfect. I see we got Julia hopping in. Julia, how we doing, my friend?
Good, good. I came in a little bit late. So I got kids home today from school because it's Easter. So I'm trying to balance a couple things here. But yeah, I mean, I caught a little bit. I'm with you. Like I start my day like I get up at 5 a.m. every day. I'm in bed by 9:30.
Hmm.
I'm at the gym by 5:30. I'm home making lunches for my kids by 6:30. So I kind of start my day that way already.
Hmm.
Podcasting, big into motivational stuff as well. So that's
Nice.
it's you're preaching to the choir here. And I started the 5 a.m. wake ups. That was my New Year's resolution. So I've been doing that steady, except for the last 3 days with Easter here, and I got off my diet as well. So I got to get back on it starting tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, I feel a lot better doing these types of things as well, and starting
Hmm.
my day that way, and getting up at 5 for me is like a game changer. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, especially with kids too, right? Like I'm sure your guys' day is so busy, like, dropping them off at school and getting them ready and all that fun
Yeah,
stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
that time
totally. That's
before
why I want
that.
like that time in the morning. But like I feel amazing when I get put in my 45-minute workout, and yeah, it sets my day really, sets on the right track for sure, because then I'll drop my kids off and then I'm at my office, for 8:45, and I kind of, I've already done the one of the hardest parts of the day, and that's getting up early and doing a workout. And still,
Hmm.
gratitude and stuff is something that I try to do actually with my kids every morning.
I love
Just
that.
to yeah, so yeah, we that's also something that we kind of started in the new year as well, and have kept that going. So yeah, you're preaching to the choir here, man. Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Sylvania, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So now I want to go into like income producing activities, right? Because I had a situation recently where like this is probably like 4 months ago where like I was working so hard, but like we just didn't seem like we were kind of getting like just making the progress that I knew we were used to making. Right. And like what I did is I kind of analyzed like what I was doing with my time, right? And it's really like what I ultimately pulled away from was like the difference between like being busy and being productive. Okay, because it's really easy to get caught up in the trap of working super hard and putting in all this effort, but just not really getting anywhere, right? I see it like it's happened to me. I see it happen all the time. And it really just happens because like there are certain activities that we can do as as real estate agents where there's a dollar figure that's attached to it and a dollar figure that's costing us, right? And when the opportunity cost of the actions or the task are greater than what we can produce, then it's not worth our time to kind of do that task anymore, right? So in the world of real estate business, what I like to do is I time block now our income producing activities or move the needle tasks, right? And that's for us, right? That's prospecting. Okay, that's serving and closing clients and getting deals across the line, and then producing more and more content that's ultimately going to build our brand. Because like prospecting and stuff, this is good for like the short term, right? For short term sales, for short term growth. Producing content again, you're like we're kind of building a compounding asset, and that's what's going to like lead to less effort on the prospecting and the sales later on down the road. So it's about finding that fine balance. So again, prospecting is short term, content production is long term, right? So depending on how much cash in your bank account, that's going to ultimately determine, okay, how much do I need to allocate to prospecting specifically, and how much can I do to build the brand through my social media and through content. Okay. Although there are other tasks that are associated with operating our business, like administration, like paperwork, finances, all that fun stuff, they are not going to be as valuable as producing sales and building your brand, right? So blocking off time to focus on the income producing activities first. For me, I like to do it earlier in the day, right when I'm freshest. That's when I'll do like my writing for my content. That's when I'll make my phone calls. And then do like all the heavy thinking and action items. And then later in the day, like mid to late afternoon, that's when I'll kind of do like my administration and lower value tasks. Or like I'll have Fernanda kind of support me on that, right? So yeah, again, like I think the biggest thing is the time blocking element, right? Because if it's there and you're obviously staying and committed to your calendar, that's what's ultimately going to help you set that intention. Although things come up, life happens. Like again, it all goes with intent, right? And that's why like journaling and kind of setting your intentions for the day, it's going to allow you to focus on the tasks and the prospects and the activities that are ultimately going to propel your business forward. And then you can kind of isolate and deprioritize any of the administration stuff, or help you delegate it, if you have that support on hand. Okay. So those are my first principles that I kind of abide myself on, guys. I'm going to continue building this out. We'll go through this next week. There's a lot of fun, exciting stuff coming up in agent school. Now regarding April, okay, so it's the start of the next quarter, right? We're in the middle of spring. I know, yeah, Julio's out there in the GTA, Neil's in Red Deer, Savannah's in Florida. So again, guys, spring historically, it's no secret, it is the busier time. And we want to make sure that our actions are in alignment with our goals, right? So for me, like I like tracking everything. And again, one of my core values is tracking everything, so you can kind of hold yourself accountable and dissect and reflect on when things are good and when things slow down, right? So for my my goals here for the month of April are 3 closed transactions. We have 2 under contract already, but I'm going to keep that going for the end of May, or sorry, for the end of April. And then just be working with 10 active clients, whether we're doing like listing presentations or showings, as well as building the agent initiative, or sorry, the agent school. And with that, right, I know that there are certain actions that I need to be doing every single day that are going to help get me there. And I built this throughout the data that I've tracked previously, right? So I know that if I do 100 dials, 50 doors, or I do two appointments with CMAs booked every single day, I know that without a doubt I will get there. It's just the laws of averages, right? Another core value of mine, and we'll kind of go into this next week, is the or versus the and, right? So just the context behind the or and is like, if we like for us, especially like when we're just starting out, like we have the mindset of like, okay, maybe we'll just do 100 dials and or 10 conversations, right? So if we hit 1, right, we're like, okay, I'm done for the day. I did 100 dials, but I only chatted with 2 people. That's it for the day, right? But this is like ultimately what shoots ourselves in the foot, because like if you think about your prospecting, your sales process is like kind of like a marketing funnel, right? There are certain, like each activity, although like the output ultimately determines like our success at a low level, the key performance indicators are going to be the appointments, right? Like the more appointments that we have, the more business that we're going to make, the more sales that we're going to make, right? So like if you think of it again like a marketing funnel, you have your dials or your doors or your key action, you have your conversations, you have your like appointments booking, and then your CMAs, and then you have your sales. We want to focus on the ones that are closest to the sale, right? And so on our days where we do the core action, right, and we don't hit the conversation target or the appointment book target, we want to keep doing that action so we hit that core, the core action that's ultimately going to move, like set us up for that next step. And the best way to amplify our business when things are going good and we have a super hot day, let's just say we did 10 dials, we had 10 conversations and 5 appointments. You're having a hot day and you don't want to stop that momentum, because the momentum is a really, really big thing. Like it's a true thing, right? So if we instill that habit that like at the very minimum, we're going to do 100 dials or 50 doors, but we are going to go until we have 100 dials and 50 doors and 10 conversations and 2 CMAs and 2 appointments booked and 1 piece of content. Like that is where we start making massive strides in our business, because if you're having a hot day and that momentum is building, that could be a day where you have 5 CMAs or 5 appointments or 8 appointments or 8 CMAs, right? And like think about that. Like if you do that consistently over the course of a month or over 3 months, like that is what's going to help you to take those massive strides, right? So it's just really, really important. And that's why I kind of like dumbing it down. Okay, these are the 4 key, like the 5 key actions that I know bring me business are the actions of dials and doors, or open houses, depending on which way you stake it, the conversations, and then ultimately the appointments and the content posting, right? And that's why like we're going super, super hard on our content posting. We're trying to do 2-3 content posts a day now, all on our social media, because of the business that it brings in. Okay. So if you have a like something like this to track and hold yourself accountable to, it's like it helps kind of set the pace for the rest of your month, the rest of your quarter. And then if you ever do have a day where things are a little bit slower, or you just can't hit the goal for whatever reason, life, health, family, whatever it is, you can always like make up for it. Okay. So does anybody on this call want me to share this tracking sheet with you? Neil, perfect. Julio, Savania.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So
Yes,
what I want for us guys, and the reason why I'm hosting these calls is to keep you accountable to your goals that you set. So what I'm going to challenge you to do is set your goals for the month and like make the realistic actions that are going to allow you to get there. Okay. And bring it to these calls so we can review it. And we can help support you in taking making the correct actions that are going to allow you to take these massive strides. Okay. And like, again, we're all in this together. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want all of you to take advantage of this second quarter, to take advantage of the spring market, so we can ultimately see those big strides that we all want to take. Okay. So I'm going to drop this in the Slack channel right now. There we go. All right, guys. Okay. So that's all I got for today here, guys. So your homework for today is, please take some time, set your goals. Like, we're in a new month, we're in a new quarter. And it's the perfect time to kind of reset, recharge, especially with it being the long weekend. So we can kind of take the even bigger strides here as we move into April and Q2. Okay. So yeah, spend some time. The tracking sheet is in the Slack channel. If you haven't received it or you aren't able to access it, please just let me know. And yeah, would love to see you guys set your goals, set your intentions, and we'll pull these up on the calls moving forward, just so we can hold you accountable to it and give you the support that you need to make sure that we're kind of keeping and maintaining our progress. Okay. Okay, I'll leave the floor open for any questions or any areas of support, and then we'll wrap things up here. Sylvania, I guess what are
Yeah.
your thoughts, and what can we support you with, and what actions are you going to take after this call?
Well, I actually don't track. So after I saw your tracking system, I like it. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna be doing that from now on.
Perfect. Perfect. And
And
what are your goals for April and for quarter two?
my goals are to close at least 2 transactions. I do have some people I'm working with.
Perfect.
I did close 2 in the beginning of March, so I want to close another
Nice.
2 this yeah. But
Nice. Yeah.
I'm not on a contract, but I have a few cash buyers that I'm actually taking out. So maybe one of them will close, and I have
Mhm.
others that have loans. We'll see what happens. But I'll
Awesome.
keep prospecting. So
Yeah, exactly. And the big thing here, guys, like as real estate agents, like we are paid to prospect, okay? Like the deals are results of the prospecting we do and the conversations that we create, but our core goal is to prospect, okay? So if we keep, like I said, like the numbers of doors and dials are good, but if we optimize and focus on like the amount of conversations we're having and the amount of appointments that we're setting, and then we keep that focus on our bad days and then our good days, like that's where we're going to start taking those massive strides. But again, it all starts with you. It all starts with everything that we went through here today. It all starts with your positive mindset, good physical and mental health, and your priorities. And just the main thing is just keeping consistent with it, right? Depending on or despite us being busy or being free. Okay. Okay, Neil, what are your goals for April and for Q2, and what actions are we going to take here after this call?
Well, I mean, I definitely want to get like I've only got one live listing right now, and I definitely want to get that closed here, within the next 2 weeks. We've
Okay.
been taking some activities. We did price adjustment. We've had some open houses, so I
Mhm.
want to move that along and
Perfect.
get that wrapped up. I, I ultimately I want to get to at least 2 transactions minimum a month, and sort of that's kind of
Mhm.
my goal that I want to get to. So I've got lots in the pipeline. I'm just trying to get them to move along the continuum,
Mhm.
to get them from chatting to actually going to showings and or listings. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we're going to host a training, if not this week, early next week, on just like the conversion process and getting them. I know we chatted about this, Neil,
yeah,
but like the tactical strategies that I use to get people like from the I'm just thinking about it stage, or I want to wait stage, into properties,
yeah,
or like in their in front of them for a listing presentation,
yeah.
right? Okay, perfect. Yeah, and what actions are you going to take after this call here, Neil?
Well, I think what I got to do is I'm like you were talking about with the time blocking and designate. Like I'm bad for I'll make calls for an hour, and then I'll get distracted by something else, and then I'll
Mhm.
go move on, and then it'll be 2 hours before I get back to making more calls again. So,
Yeah.
I used to do this when I was building my planning practice, was and we'd make. I would very intentionally make calls, 10 calls by 10 in the morning. And that's the only thing I did in the first thing in the morning, 10 by 10, right? So,
Yeah.
and they were obviously different conversations, but it's the same idea, right? And
Yeah.
then trying to make sure that, and that's why when I was looking at your contact goals here, like, so what we were doing, was the goal was to be 25 real conversations a day. Um, which was tough to hit those numbers. So trying to find bumping up the amount of contacts that are real contacts, not just dials, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, so again, going back to my comment last week on like 20% of your active buyers or sellers are actually going to convert. So now the question becomes, okay, if our goal is 2 deals per month, we need to be actively working with 10 buyers and sellers at the minimum, right? So now how
Yeah, and I'm probably
how
close
many,
to that actually. So
what's that?
I'm probably close to that. Like I have 10 pretty realistic people in sort of my pipeline that um are intending on buying within the next 1 to 2 months. So,
Yeah,
um,
perfect.
but you
Perfect.
know, those fall off.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why like the like you're going to have those 10 active buyers, but like, yeah, those fall off. And then you have to keep that churn, that wheel of active
Yeah.
buyers and sellers continuous. So again, you're increasing your number over here, which is ultimately going to increase your number over here.
And I guess the only other thing I'd like to add is trying to find better quality leads, because but that's, you know, that's social media, right? And things like that. Is some of these are just like horrible, but that's just the
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah. And again, so going back, going into, and we'll go into some of the core four tomorrow, but yeah, like having a marketing or client acquisition plan that takes each, you know, at least one pillar, or sorry, one pillar from each of the core four. Paid ads are good, but you're typically dealing with a colder type of lead. You
Yeah.
want to, like, the content marketing, those are always going to be your highest quality, right? And then you also want to get, like, in order to get now business, like those, especially right now in the market that we're in, it's going to be the open houses, it's going to be the knocking on doors, and it's going to be reaching reaching out to your SOI. Like those are going to be your key ones for finding business right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Julio, yeah, is there anything else you would like to add? And I guess what are your goals for April? And yeah, what actions are you going to take following this call?
Yeah, I am pretty strict on making my calls every day. So I don't have myself planned out to say I need to hit, like, I know what my objective is on the year, and I know how I'm tracking towards that. I track my numbers similar to what you just showed. You know, I know I have in the pipeline. I think, I mean, it's probably more of a discussion I think that we're going to have on Wednesday. It's just, for me, it's, I'm doing a lot with leads right now, and I think I just need to find a more efficient way to you know, to do my day to day. And I'm looking at some different options, from, you know, lead gen to ISAs to different types of things. So yeah, I'm not really giving you an answer here, but you know, the one thing I can tell you is, like, you know, I don't miss a day of calls. Like today, like my kids are home, I want to be home with them, and I'm going to spend my afternoon with them. But like I did my 2 hours this morning already, so of calls, and yeah, so.
Perfect. Yeah, and I love that. I love that you keep consistent on the calls there, Julio. That's like, that is the key thing. So now, like, how we can help amplify that, right? And I know we discussed that last week, but it's like, okay, the dials portion, if we can get someone to triple the amount of dials that we're making in a day, so we can focus on, like, okay, what are what's another lead mechanism we can implement? Is it content? Is it sphere of
Yeah,
influence? Is it door knocking? Is it,
because the other thing is, like, I also, my wife works with me, and she
yeah,
does all my back end. So she does, like, I don't do paperwork. I don't do,
yeah,
like, I strictly call. I strictly find new business. Like, that's all I do. And then I, you know, and I'm the one that's physically out there and doing showings and things like that. So I you know, and that's why I've, like, you know, I've tripled down this year on my lead gen, because, like, that's, you know, it's a good thing. It's pretty well all I do, right?
yeah,
Because I, like, you know, I don't worry about writing you know, agreement purchase and sales. Like, my wife is kind of doing all that for me. That's what she, you know, we work off of each other really well there. So it's just like, how do I, and I'm, you know, super ambitious. So, like, how do I, you know, if I'm doing 2 deals a month right now, like, I want to be doing 6. Like,
yeah.
how do I do that? And so that's why I went all in with the lead thing. But anyways, we talked about it. I think we're going to talk more on Wednesday. But that's kind of my, you know, what I have to kind of figure out on my end.
Yeah, so the jump from like 2 to 6, right? The best like framework that I like using is more, better, new. Okay. So like more obviously is like more leads or more dials. I don't think more leads are going to serve you more. I think more dials are like more dials, more texts, more emails are going to serve you more. Then the better is like, okay, how do we make our process better? And again, that's like for paid leads, you want to incorporate like there's so many ways to optimize on paid leads, but it's more like text, emails, and contacts, right? And then like the speed to lead, right? So that's where you incorporate like an ISA or of AI, right? You can have those bots that kind of work for you. And then new is just yeah, just a new lead mechanism or a new client acquisition source, right? So always explore those like those three when you're looking to expand. It's more, better, new.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome, man. Well, guys, I hope you got some value from this this call here. And yeah, we will be right back here at the same time tomorrow. Have a great Easter Monday, everybody. And yeah, we'll see you all for the influence call tomorrow.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah.